So can you tell us like who introduced you to the street life?
My brother.
And how was he showing you the ropes?
Let me tell you, my crib got shot up when I was like 14. I was some stupid ass. The bullet that flew like right past my face. They had shot the back of them. Then they blew the car up, set that on fire. Shit was busting. I ain't gonna lie, what was going on.
J Boogie, the older brother of Bloodhound Lil Jeff, also called King Draco, is locked up again, just months after getting out. For people watching from the outside, it's starting to feel way too familiar, like the same story playing on repeat. Some are even saying this might be the start of something worse, a deeper spiral that's been building for a while. What really makes this hit harder is the role J Boogie is rumored to have played back in the day. A lot of people believe he was the one who first pulled his younger brother into that street life, opening doors that can't be closed. That kind of influence sticks. And now people are looking back at it in a whole different light. Now everything's flipped. The same brother he once led is no longer here. And J Boogie is right back behind bars again, sitting in a cell with all that history weighing on him. This whole situation paints a rough picture of how things unraveled for J Boogie and Bloodhound Lil Jeff, known as King Draco. Growing up wasn't easy. They were surrounded by heavy street energy from early on. Word is they shared the same mother but had different fathers, which added even more complexity to J Boogie's upbringing and the path he ended up taking. His father was reportedly locked up, leaving their mother to handle everything on her own while raising the boys in a rough neighborhood. That kind of pressure hits early, and growing up in that environment exposed them fast to the realities of street life and the weight that comes with it, especially for J Boogie. As time went on, J Boogie, the older brother of Bloodhound Lil Jeff, started getting attention in the drill scene. People knew his name not just from music, but from his ties to the streets and the growing buzz around his younger brother. Their names started ringing louder, and more eyes were watching. Then everything took a heartbreaking turn on June 8th, 2024. That was the day Lil Jeff's life was suddenly cut short. Reports say he was shot while allegedly in a rival area during a drill situation, a moment that shocked a lot of people and raised even more questions. That's something we'll break down later on. From early on, J Boogie and his family stayed mostly in the Burnside neighborhood on Chicago's South Side, an area known for its challenges. Later, they moved to Woodlawn, another South Side neighborhood with its own struggles, keeping them surrounded by that same intense environment. By the time Lil Jeff was around 10 years old, J Boogie was already deep in the streets, building his name and reputation. Long before Jeff started getting attention, people who followed the Chicago drill scene already knew who Boogie was. And even back then, he was moving under another name that added to his growing image. Young Khalifa was known to be very close with one of Flipside's most respected figures, a man named Tay. He had real influence, and people looked up to him in that area. But in August 2014, everything changed when Tay was shot and killed, a loss that shook the whole neighborhood deeply. After that, people in Flipside started calling their area Tay Block to honor his name and keep his memory alive.
You ain't gonna see me do much of that shit. A lot of people was dying because of social media. They letting that shit get to their head.
Even before Tay's death, J Boogie was already moving closely with people from Chris World, building connections that tied him into different circles. As time went on, those relationships only grew stronger, pulling him deeper into street life and everything that comes with it. One moment that reportedly hit both J Boogie and Lil Jeff hard was the death of Kenny Mack in August 2013. That situation carried a lot of weight, and many people in the streets believed it was retaliation, a get back tied to an earlier incident. That earlier incident was the death of someone known as Obama in 2012. Which many believe sparked serious tension between TYMB and Chris World. Rumors say it all may have started over a dice game that went left, turning into something much bigger than anyone expected. Some witnesses claimed the shooter walked right up to Obama and fired multiple shots into his chest. But what made things even more confusing was that Obama was later found inside a hallway, raising more questions about how everything really played out that day. After that, the relationship between TYMB and Chris World was completely broken, and the fallout only made things more intense from there. What once looked like close ties quickly turned into something completely different as tensions started rising fast. Members from Chris World, Trap City, and Drill City, including J Boogie, found themselves caught up in an active street war with TYMB. The situation kept getting worse, and in 2012, a Trap City member known as Scooter was also shot and killed, adding even more pressure to an already heated conflict. From there, retaliation became a regular thing, not just isolated moments, but a pattern that kept repeating. More lives were lost as the tension between these groups kept escalating, and the streets became more divided than ever. At the same time, new alliances started forming, with different groups linking up over shared rivals and ongoing disputes. By late 2013, a group known as the Bloodhounds began to take shape, bringing together members from different blocks who were all facing the same opposition. It wasn't just about where you were from anymore. It was about who you stood with, and those lines were being drawn clearly. Moving into 2014 and 2015, several people connected to Chris World started stepping into Chicago's growing drill music scene, where street reputation and music were tightly connected. Around that same time, J Boogie was building a strong connection with J Bin Laden, and people started noticing. The two were often seen together, and their link became more visible in the local scene. JB even showed up in one of J Boogie's music videos, marking one of his early appearances on camera within that circle. That moment made it clear he was becoming more connected with key figures in the Chicago drill movement. All of this pulled him even deeper into both the street culture and the rising drill music scene around him. J.B. Bin Laden was tied to a B set known as 400 East, or 400E, with their territory sitting across Interstate 90 from areas like Trap City and Chris World. Their main block was around 71st Street and King Drive on Chicago's South Side, a place with its own strong presence and reputation. Because of J Boogie's connections across different sets, he ended up building relationships with several well-known names in the drill scene. One of the biggest names linked to him was L.A. Capone. According to people from the area, L.A. Capone even spent time staying around the 400 East neighborhood with Boogie for a period before his passing in 2013, making that bond even more real. After L.A. Capone's death, people close to him made sure his name lived on. Members of the set started honoring him heavily, and at one point, the block even began calling themselves L.A. Gang, as a tribute to his impact and legacy. Out of everyone around, L.A. Capone seemed to have a especially strong connection with J Boogie, often posting him on social media and giving him shoutouts that showed how tight they were, both in the streets and in the drill scene. Even though J Boogie and JB had connections with the 600 set, not everyone was okay with how things were moving. Some members of 600 felt a certain way about others using L.A. Capone's name and image, believing that only their block should represent him. Because of that, a 600 member known as Blasty publicly called out J Boogie on social media for throwing up the LA hand sign. That moment added tension and showed that even alliances had limits when it came to respect and representation. Even though they weren't from 600, that didn't slow anything down.
So can you tell us like who introduced you to the street life?
My brother.
And how was he showing you the ropes?
Let me tell you, my career got shot up when I was like 14. I was some stupid bully that flew like right past my face. They had shot the back of them. Then they blew the car and set that on fire. Shit was busting, I ain't gonna lie.
Despite the criticism, J Boogie and his circle kept strong ties with different sets all across the South Side. Members from Chris World, along with JB from 400 East, stayed closely connected with Trap City and the Drill City Alliance, moving together and showing unity in the middle of all the tension. They were often seen around people like CJ, who was quickly becoming an important name in that circle. His presence kept growing, and it was clear he was playing a bigger role as things started shifting. Around this same time, something new was starting to form inside Drill City's neighborhood. A small group began coming together, slowly building into what would later be known as the Bloodhounds. The name itself had roots going back to the early 2000s, and the movement seemed heavily inspired by the Glory Boys wave, which had a major influence across Chicago. By the end of 2015, CJ even started hinting at a possible project called Bloodhound Savages, showing that this wasn't just about the streets. Music was becoming part of the identity too. Moving into 2016, CJ, Boogie, and JB were still spending a lot of time together, and the Bloodhound name started spreading beyond just one block. Soon, people from other sets began claiming it too, including members from MTV 079, turning Bloodhound into something bigger, a wider alliance stretching across multiple neighborhoods. It wasn't just a local thing anymore, it was growing fast and pulling in more names. As mentioned earlier, MTV 079 is a B set with a long history of conflict with several GD-affiliated neighborhoods. Because of shared rivals, they often found themselves aligned with groups like Trap City and Drill City. But even with those alliances, things weren't always smooth. and at different times, the relationships became complicated, showing how quickly things could shift. Tension was always there between these groups. Even though they were going after many of the same rivals, the history between them was messy, and trust wasn't always solid. Still, despite all that, members from these neighborhoods kept crossing paths and even working together at times, especially as new alliances like the Bloodhounds started coming together. As time went on, people from different blocks, including J Boogie and others tied into the scene, moved between these circles, slowly building a wider network across the south side of Chicago. It wasn't just about one block anymore. It was becoming something bigger, with connections stretching across multiple areas. By October 2016, the Bloodhound movement started getting real attention when Hothead dropped a track and video called Bloodhound. That release pushed the name deeper into the drill scene and showed that this wasn't just talk. The group was becoming more organized and recognized. Around that same time, J Boogie started openly claiming Bloodhound on his social media, making his connection to the movement clear. By then, the Bloodhounds had grown past being just a small clique and turned into a solid alliance. The group was mainly made up of members from several South Side sets, including Drill City, MTV, 079, Chris World, and 400 East. What made it stronger was the fact that these neighborhoods shared many of the same rivals and alliances, which kept them connected despite their differences. As the movement kept growing, it became more than just a name people recognized. It turned into a real presence across the city. From that point on, Bloodhound Lil Jeff fully stood behind the Bloodhound identity, especially as he got more involved in the streets and everything tied to that lifestyle. A lot of that path traces back to his older brother J Boogie, who had already been active in those circles for years and helped bring Jeff into that environment. That influence played a big role, putting him around things most people never experienced that early. As J Boogie got deeper into street life, his younger brother Bloodhound Lil Jeff started following that same direction. It wasn't long before Jeff jumped off the porch and began living that life himself, stepping into a world that quickly shaped his name and reputation. Over time, Jeff's name started ringing louder in the streets, and people began associating him with a serious and dangerous image that still gets talked about today. His presence kept growing, and the attention around him only got bigger. By 2021, J Boogie's situation took a major turn. He was sentenced to around 6 years in prison on a gun possession case tied to unlawful use of a weapon. At that point, it looked like he wouldn't be coming home until about 2027, but things didn't stay that way. Boogie later appealed the charge, and that move ended up helping him secure an early release, changing the timeline completely. While he was still locked up, things on the outside were already getting worse. Tensions between different sets were high, and the situation was getting more unstable, especially involving Trap City, a group Boogie had once been closely connected to. Things took an even darker turn when Trap City, a group Boogie once had ties with, became linked to a deadly situation. Around that time, Lil Jeff's close friend and cousin, Z Money, was reportedly killed in an incident that some people believe was connected to a move Jeff had made earlier. Z Money was sitting in his car in a parking lot just waiting when another vehicle suddenly pulled up beside him with no warning. In seconds, people inside that car opened fire, sending a heavy burst of bullets straight into his vehicle. It all happened fast, leaving almost no time to react. Z-Money was hit multiple times and rushed to the hospital, but he didn't survive his injuries. His loss hit the Bloodhounds hard, but for Bloodhound Lil Jeff, it was personal on a whole different level. Z-Money wasn't just family. He was like a real brother to him, especially with J Boogie already locked up at the time. To honor him, Jeff and his close friend Q50 both got tattoos of Z-Money above their eyes, making sure his name stayed with them everywhere they went. But while people in the streets were showing love, the pain for Z-Money's family was even deeper and more devastating. Doctors later revealed that Z-Money had already passed by the time he reached the hospital after being shot 29 times, showing just how brutal the attack really was. His mother later spoke out, explaining what happened that day. She said Z-Money had simply been waiting in a parking lot for a friend who had gone inside a nearby shop to drop off clothes for tailoring. That's when everything went left. The shooters pulled up out of nowhere and Z-Money tried to run, but the gunfire caught up to him before he could get away. He was hit multiple times as he tried to escape, while his friend reportedly fired back before running from the scene. Not long after the incident, rumors started spreading through the streets, with people questioning whether Z-Money was the intended target, or if something else played into how everything unfolded that day. Some rumors went even further, claiming Z-Money wasn't taken out by random rivals at all, but by people he once trusted. There were whispers that members from Trap City may have set him up, which shocked a lot of people, especially since Z-Money still had ties with individuals over there. Bloodhound Vert, who had once been close to Z-Money, was also part of the conversation. After everything happened, Vert reportedly stopped claiming Trap City and later started associating more with Drill City, adding even more layers to an already complicated situation. For Lil Jeff, losing Z-Money wasn't something he could just move past. It hit deep, and before long, talk started spreading that retaliation had already happened. One name that came up was Al, a member of Trap City, who was shot while sitting inside a cab. The incident happened near the 1300 block of West Taylor Street, where a gunman reportedly opened fire and then quickly left the scene. Al was rushed to Rush University Medical Center, but despite efforts to save him, he later died from his injuries, adding another loss to the growing conflict. Even while J Boogie was still locked up during all of this, the situation outside kept getting worse. The back and forth didn't slow down, it only escalated further. At some point, members of Trap City allegedly responded by going after his younger brother, Bloodhound Lil Jeff. On that day, Jeff and his crew were reportedly moving through Trap City territory, waiting and watching for a moment to run into their rivals, as the tension between both sides kept reaching new levels. When they finally spotted who they were looking for, Jeff jumped out of the car and started firing. In footage that later spread online, the person they were chasing could be seen wearing bright yellow shorts, running as shots rang out around him. The target quickly ducked and ran toward the porch of a nearby house, trying to get out of sight. But Jeff kept chasing, closing the distance fast. That's when everything suddenly flipped in a split second. As Jeff ran up to that same porch, he walked straight into an ambush. People were already waiting, and the moment he stepped in, gunfire erupted. He was hit multiple times, reportedly around 19, in a scene that turned deadly almost instantly. At the time all of this happened, his older brother J Boogie was still locked up, unable to do anything but hear about it from behind bars. That made the situation hit even harder. What made it even more painful was that the same Trap City circle Boogie had once been tied to was now being blamed for Jeff's death, showing how much things had changed. After Boogie finally came home, he tried to honor his brother the only way he could. Not long after his release, he dropped a tribute track titled Letter To, putting his pain and everything he was carrying into the music. In that track, Letter To, J Boogie opened up about the pain of losing his brother, speaking from a real place and letting everything out. He even shouted out Lil Jeff, describing him as a different type of savage, making it clear how deeply he respected and missed him. But that moment of freedom didn't last long at all. Just a few months after getting out, Boogie found himself right back behind bars again, caught up in another serious situation. Reports say he was arrested on multiple charges, including possession of a controlled substance, along with 2 firearms and 2 magazines, one of which was allegedly loaded with armor-piercing rounds. On top of that, the arrest counted as a parole violation, since he was still under supervision from his previous case. That alone made things even worse and pushed him straight back into the system. There were also claims online about a possible high-speed chase tied to the arrest, but details around that remain unclear. Still, everything about the situation escalated fast, and Boogie ended up right back where he started, continuing a cycle that's followed him for years. Now, a lot of people are watching closely, wondering if this could be the start of a deeper downfall, and whether it might spark even more tension with the same groups tied to everything that happened before. If you made it this far, make sure you like, subscribe, and share this video. Drop a comment and let me know what you think about this whole situation.